Welcome to a spirit animal message. And this message, we're starting out with dragonfly magic. And before I read what the card says, this dragonfly in particular, the first says there's another one right here. I just would like you to look at that. The vibrancy of it. The way it's so embodied it as a metaphor or an interpretation. There's this space or this intuition that I'm sensing where you've already gone through a major metamorphosis, a major transformation. This may have been going on for some time, but the culmination of it, the maturation of it really is coming into full frame now. However, now now that you're emerging into that full version of yourself, into that other side of a metamorphosis. My bird. Ooh. This is Guitar. She is a baby cockatiel. So, magic. I embrace my transformation. I courageously let go of the past. The magic of nature is in me. I am brilliant and I am blessed. And you are this gift. And you're also this other dragonfly in the distance. You see how it looks like this dragonfly is on a trajectory, and this is its path, right? But if it keeps this trajectory and then this one in the distance keeps its trajectory, it almost looks like they're going to meet at a point in time on their paths and become in this point in time where they will either collide. However, in this representation, I feel what's actually being reflected is a gift, some form of spiritual gift, intuition, clairvoyance. There's so many things that we are capable of. That is special and unique to us as individuals. We all have different gifts or talents, and something that is something to do with who you embody, your highest vibrational self. I think of spiritual liberation. I think about how this symbolism for this dragonfly is also, this dragonfly, these two are the same thing, right? They're the same creature. And in this representation, this is like you're this main version of yourself, but then there's this piece of you that you come into that divine time where you transform, merging with a version of yourself, almost feel like shifting, where you're shifting realities, probably progressively, where you're leveling up to what greatness you're capable of being or embodying. I really feel like this is a new spiritual gift. I think about, I don't know if anybody ever heard of this show Charmed, where this missing sister, she already had gifts. She already had gone through this major transformation where she received insight that when she was born, because she was adopted, that when she went and she found out she had the siblings, you know, she didn't know this history about herself. She didn't know who her sisters were. She didn't know who her family was. But then she found out who her family was. She, you know, she started to dig deeper into herself and getting the information that she required to know more about herself, which led to her not only going through this change and this transition where she found out who she really was as far as, you know, who her family is. She also finds out that she has a power, a magical power that is not something that, you know, isn't her. It was like a latent ability, because it was never nurtured. There was no one to, you know, give her that insight, and plus it was her connecting to her family, her birth family, that awakened a version of herself that was already her, but because it took her meeting up with that version of herself where she could perceive it and get what she would require to understand it, which is her siblings that also had gifts, and would be what would ignite that fire of her gift from within. So it's as though you're receiving, or you're moving into this period of time where you're receiving some form of ability that is, it's not like it's not you, it's just you revealing you to you through your journey, remembering who you are through facing yourself, facing, you know, shadow aspects of yourself, the unknown of yourself. And then we have Penguin Authentic. Reach out to your tribe in times of need. Family gives you strength when you face the storm. Love your uniqueness. You are full of surprises. Break free from others' expectations. Just be yourself. And initially when I had engaged with this reading, this little baby penguin was really standing out to me, and I thought at first it was this intuitive thought of, you know, children or the youth, of a youth looking up to you as this matured, balanced version of yourself. However, I also feel now, looking at it, this is also your inner child working through that inner child, and then that balanced masculine and feminine in this playful, it's like that playful state of fulfillment. And you have the balanced feminine with your emotional body. You've got this balanced masculine working within the material world, but then you're working through this inner child aspect of you that is, you know, not afraid to be its funny, weird, curious self. You're also standing in your power, your authenticity. You're standing in that inner trinity of self. Then we have Goose, inner knowing. You are a brave traveler. Your soul knows the way. Be confident. You will achieve your destination. Loyal friends are always with you. Don't worry, you are blessed. Let yourself fly. So I feel there is this making new connections. I feel like there's this, I sense this flock, right? There's this flock, and there's this togetherness, and there's this partnership, and there is this connection. And I think about how they turn into this, they have this V, right? So they know which way they're going. The church, they know, they almost, whichever way that they're flying, because of the way that they fly, it almost looks like, yep, this is definitely the right way, no matter which way they're going, because of the way that they are so, the way that they embody their energy, the way that they embody their inner empowerment of being just a goose, a geese. They have this natural reflection of going the right way. And I feel like or you're going to start perceiving increasingly what wasn't clear to you. What you only felt in your inner knowing is now merging into more of a conscious space. It's like, just like that image with the dragonfly going, already in this metamorphosis, already through this change, on this path, knowing which way to go. Your inner knowing, following your inner knowing, trusting this process on your journey in this higher vibrational version of yourself. And then perceiving in this more clear way how much of everything was in the hands of that higher self, of the great all. And you working not just in, it wasn't in their hands, it was in your hands, and you are working with the all, is the better way of putting it. It's like, that is your flock. Your flock is this, like the stars, the earth, a community, partnerships, bringing in a partnership though. And maybe I'm going too far with this, because I do see there is this potentiality where you're bringing in a partner, and you're actually bringing in a partner because you are leveling up in your consciousness, leveling up from a time of healing. But after that time of healing and coming out and merging in that space, from that space, you start leveling up consciously, start leveling up in what you perceive of yourself. You're starting out with tarot in this Nine of Pentacles. Again, this starting position of standing in your power, embodying your greatness, highest vibrational projection, being successful. I just have some notes. Oops. That was just some oils. I have some essential oil things on my table, and one of them fell, and I have a baby bird in my hand that is busy, so we're just gonna move on. So we now have the moon. as what's crossing you. And this, I think about how this also represents developing your psychic abilities, developing your mind. This also represents your psychic abilities maturing. You're going to be even more successful than you realize. That is another part. That is a huge message that I felt about this. That was a great deal of the message of this entire reading, is that you are going to be more successful than you realize. You perceive that you are in this vibrational reflection of the greater version of you. I think about how this is the 9, the step before the 10 of that 10 of Pentacles, where it's that levels of fulfillment, material levels of fulfillment, emotional levels of fulfillment, you know, that groundedness. It's just like all those elements that would have what it would require to bloom even further in that quickness. Because once you go into and you get something like a 10 of Pentacles, you know, all of what you've been standing in your power for and putting that energy for now has, you know, gasoline to go to, you know, soar even higher, fly even higher. I think about how this even says, you know, let yourself fly. So, you know, you embodying yourself is setting you up to be able to do that. And you are, in this Moon card crossing this 9 of Pentacles, it to me represents, and not just to me, in just this the knowledge and knowing of this combination, you are going to be more successful than you realize. And then your destiny came out as the Emperor. So, and what stood out to me in this image for the Emperor is the staff, and how you see we have this representation of the Ankh on the staff of this Emperor, which is a common depiction on an Emperor card. It stood out to me a great deal, though, for this reading. What I felt resonance to say, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think about how, and it's interesting to me that even this morning or earlier, I came across a clip of Superman, but not in the movie itself. It was before the movie or during the make of a movie, the original, I believe, from what the actor that I was seeing, I can't remember his name now, but he was, you know, getting his embodiment together for the role. He was speaking into the microphone in character with these words, and he was perceiving the intention behind his words and the way that the words formed. And even with his best attempts, because of the way the words I feel maybe were put together, he wasn't able to give the proper projection that was being asked of him, I feel. And he was perceiving it, and I think about that, how, you know, even as the character itself, he was embodying this inner superhero. Like, in his being, he was this alien. He was, I think of star seeds right now. Anyone out there that resonates to star seeds? And I think about how, you know, our DNA can be, how it's proven that we are created a lot of who we are through this epigenetics of our DNA, and how information and life experiences of generations past is stored within our DNA, creating a personality in this lifetime. And then I think of how, you know, if a person really went through some form of transformation where they were able to perceive, you know, shadow aspects of themselves or things that aren't of societal norms, and learn to accept that part of themselves, and then awakened DNA that maybe was latent but in the person already through inner work, which would then awaken a DNA, and then the more of the human DNA, or programming is better way to put it, is then maybe shifted towards greater potential, because the epigenetics of the person is shifted from any generational curses that were put into the family ancestral line through just, you know, the way society and the way that humanity has grown through generations. And there's this I'm just going with how I'm sensing all this. A time of greater abundance, organized entrepreneur, wisdom, leader. You could be awakening to your truths. I feel like I was on to something, but I just feel like I kind of... Right now, this flower that's not open yet, you see on this image, there's all these flowers that are already bloomed, but there's this one flower right in front of the emperor. It's not bloomed yet, but you can see that potential coming out. You see this, it looks like the representation of a pineal, but it's the pistil. I think if I remember correctly from my flowers, the pistil of the flower. You can see that, and you can see that the flower is just about ready to bloom. You know, this destiny of yours, this destiny card, you are meant to bloom. I think about how you being in flow of life, being in flow of your authenticity, is going to bloom you to your greatest potential. Bloom you from within to reflect harmony into the world through your gifts. And you already, and I already perceive this, that you've already uncovered gifts for yourself. You've already uncovered quite a lot about yourself, but there's something else that you haven't, that hasn't bloomed yet, but it's about to. And it's a part of your destiny. Also, moving forward and into this existence is how you'll be bringing in your abundance, being that entrepreneur of self through these gifts that you've been uncovering about yourself. And then we have the Hangman. I wrote down turning your back on what doesn't resonate to you. What doesn't resonate to your best, resonate with doing your best by your beliefs. Turning your back to what you don't resonate with, doing your best by your beliefs. Trusting the process, reclaiming your nervous system, going within to perceive truth. I just, sometimes the intuition, it was while I was pulling the cards that some things were coming through, and then I'm getting a little bit more as I work with the cards in this reading. This person is capable of slipping its foot out. It's purposeful suspension. Purposeful suspension to perceive the trajectory forward more clearer. In the distant past, you started to more deliberately just suspend your action step. It's almost like, okay, yes, I see this as the action. However, you would also perceive some element that wasn't quite right, and you stayed true to that belief that you would feel the resonance to when it was time to take yourself out of suspension and take that action. And being patient with the present moment, because I think about how, you know, the Hangman can even be perceived as, in a weird way to some, in a lower vibrational perception, you know, a hangman can even be perceived as a procrastination. However, it's not, because there was a deliberance to it. There was an inner perception of how things were organizing themselves in this. Yes, it seems like he's looking at everything from a lower perspective, upside down. I mean, he's at the base, his head is at the ground, and his feet are in the air. But think about that. If his head is on the ground, his mind is so grounded that he's willing to suspend his actions, perceiving a greater potential through that patience. And in the recent past, I think about how these water lilies are a representation of the crown chakra, of that lotus flower. And how I was speaking about that gift coming in, or this new beginning of emotional fulfillment. This new beginning within your intuition, this new beginning within your consciousness. love of, it looks as though this is the sun actually coming out of this cup. Doesn't it look like there's this sun coming out of the cup? And I think about that inner sun, and then you see this water of intuition, and then these flowers symbolizing this lotus. And I'm perceiving a lot of this reading. The message is your greater potential revealing itself. And I think about how we saw the moon, there was this reflection of things, you becoming more successful than you realize. In this Ace of Cups, I feel like there's this, you're getting this seed of knowing that your greatness is rising within you, is rising from your emerging with that greater potential. It's becoming increasingly clear. The clarity of what your potential is starting to reveal itself, starting to rise. And then we have, and I even said for the Ace of Cups, a gift is being revealed to you, inner gift. That gift is being revealed to you. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune with the Six of Cups, or I apologize, Six of Pentacles. So I think about how the Wheel of Fortune is, it's that cycle. It's things changing suddenly to a different, it's like what if it's one way, it's going into be another. And I feel like with the Six of Pentacles, which is this representation of generosity, I feel like there's this potentiality where in the past you were more of the person that received, or maybe you didn't have the finances balanced in this confident way to be able to be financially able to be more generous to others. But in this card, it feels like you suddenly shifted to where now the power of what happens with these coins is in your hands. And you've balanced the scale of your finances so that you've shifted into a financially balanced version of yourself where you're able to give and take care of your expenses and be seen as a financial equal to, or in your financial power of balanced. And perhaps it was a shift or a Wheel of Fortune moment where you went from where you weren't that financially balanced, and then something you've done or you will do moving into the future suddenly shifts you to to being more financially balanced. And then you also had the Emperor. And I think about this gift emerging and how you could be connecting to the world in some way. As a business owner and moving into a mastery, your destiny is to be this mastery within that. So, you're suddenly financially more balanced, in a position to be able to help others through their success. So you've managed to change your trajectory, or how much success you are capable of. I think about the levels of success, and this Wheel of Fortune, you've reached a level of success where now you reflect to others their potential of success also. And then a perspective card is the sun, or the star. And I love how we have this peacock, and it looks like this masculine peacock, because the peacock males are the ones that have like the feathers that have all the color. And then I see this sun with all of these triangles, and that to me represents climbing the levels of consciousness, onwards and upwards, climbing the levels of consciousness. I also see how this masculine he looks like he's walking up and he's about to open up them feathers and fan out. He hasn't gotten there yet, because it's still this journey, but he's right there on the verge of feeling that confidence. I feel like you could have came through a space of healing, and the perspective is that now you are you're increasingly grounded, and now you're in this more lead role of self. And I love that right after that we have the environment, which is the Lovers. And I see how the masculine in this picture, he looks like he's wearing some form of peacock themed garment, almost to give the masculine this vibrancy. And then we had the star as this perspective. Listening to your heart is this resonance with the Lovers in this position. And I even wrote down that you are feeling this resonance with yourself in the world, in the universe, resonance with a choice that's it's not obvious, but it's in plain sight. So you're in resonance to a choice or a knowing that's not obvious, but in plain sight. Merging the masculine and the feminine. You are now a calibrated match to a divine partner. That is the environment. So if you're a feminine, if you're a woman, or resonate to that feminine aspect of self, you know, you're bringing in a divine partner, because you yourself have stepped into your power. And if you're the masculine, and you don't have that person, then you're going to attract, through your masculine vibrancy, the right person. This is also you merging that masculine and feminine within your own being, within your own environment of self. But that's part of the calibration process. So if you're not with anyone, then you will be. If you have been with someone, there is going to be a reignition of the passion. But to me, this is saying that you're bringing a partner in. And we saw the goose inner knowing, and it almost, the way that their togetherness almost feels like a partner. Yes, they're born in these flocks, and then they maybe even create their own flocks through mating. I feel like there's this reflection of bringing in someone that adds to your flock, or you joining a flock. Also, there is this potential where you could join a whole community of some sort, because the person that I feel like you're bringing in is very vibrant. If this is not you, then this is the person that you're bringing in. I think this is both of you. That's why I'm saying that this is a calibration. You have calibrated your vibrations to be in a vibrational match to a divine partner. This could even be, I almost don't want to say it because of the way it could be interpreted, and please use your discernment, but this could also be, because I think of divine partner, you could be on a twin flame journey, and you've now calibrated your frequency to be of a vibrational match to that partner. How you're feeling is this Four of Cups. Maybe been single so long that you're not perceiving love coming in. I think about how we can get almost used to that. It's almost a form of, I think about how I myself haven't been in a relationship in quite some time, so I can resonate to this, so I can give a little bit of experience, insight to this position and feeling, to perhaps see there's a part of you that feels like there's just no one out there. You have connections. You're slowly opening your eyes to life's goodness that's available, because you've been in a position for so long that it's taking you a bit of work, inner work, and your spirit team has really been assisting you to open your eyes. And I think this is a part of your gift too. This has something to do with your gift that's coming in for you also. As I see that this image, in the image, Spirit is giving this person a cup, but it looks like this person has been in this position looking at the same environment for so long that there is this level of hope had been lost. And even though there's this clear offer, I think about how we get attached to who we are being. And when you've been single so long, even with that offering or that intuition or insight of that potentiality, there may be resistance in believing it, because I feel like maybe it could even be that feeling of, you know, well, if I allow myself to think this is true, and it's not, then, you know, I got my hopes up. And I think maybe that may be a part of it. Maybe for you kind of went through periods where, you know, you had that excitement, you had that hope or positive thinking towards it, and nothing ever manifested because it wasn't time yet. And I think you lost patience on a level. And not to say that you lost patience, but when you're not being loved, it's like a version of pain that you go numb to and you embody. So that way when something good comes in, it's like you're remembering what you've been living and there's this new offer coming in. So maybe that's this message to do some self-love, you know, find that sexy within yourself so that you can at least have a more open perception of love coming in by loving yourself in a way that a lover would love you. Because maybe shifting what you know, what you embody, because I think about how we are a reflection, I think about how we can, it's like being thankful for something before it's right in front of our faces, or embodying what is potentially coming in for us before it's there, so that you're not bringing in the past or all of that stuff into it. So releasing yourself through clearing your own, clearing yourself in some way so you can perceive, because you're coming out after this with the Six of Wands, which is success, victory, with this ace, or I apologize, the Queen of Pentacles. The Six of Wands, victory, turned lead into gold, turned trash into treasure, being acknowledged for your passion, people supporting you, cheering you on. The Queen of Pentacles, this is this master of do-it-yourself. You made the most out of what you had at your disposal, what you had available to you. You made the most of it. And moving into the future, it brings in these victories that you see all these people cheering this person on as they ride through. So they're supporting this person because they believe in what this person is representing. You see this reef of peace. So this person is not only victorious, but also this symbolism for living in peace and expanding that into the consciousness that is around him, because the wands that are around him are up at his level to, as a congratulations to the victories that he's achieved, he or she. This actually looks like a woman. You stand victorious. Within what you've put your energy in, what you've been nurturing. You've successfully brought in a version of financial success that is also so fulfilling and grounded. And you turned something that was, it's like bringing things together that you wouldn't think to, or I think about how a cook can look at, you know, a bunch of random ingredients, just maybe a few ingredients, and come up with this masterpiece of you know, an entree or something. And another person could look at the same ingredients and be like, you know, this is, what am I supposed to do with this? There's nothing here. But then, you know, the right set of eyes, the right creative set of eyes, and, you know, gold is made. Or the most delicious meal of all time is made, depending on how we're using the metaphor. I like to pull a card of the 42 ideals of Ma'at in daily life. I'm gonna roll because I thought that this was resonating with this energy of 6, but well, now we have a 1. So 1, which is this energy of being your leader, leading yourself, new beginnings. The 1 is this leadership energy. So stand in your power and lead your way. Make your what is a card for this message from the 42 ideals of Ma'at that would resonate the best for this? I keep the waters pure. I keep the waters pure. So 36, 6, 7, 9. So 6, 3, which is, add that together, is 9, 3, 6, 9, which is this representation of being in harmony with the universe, 3, 6, 9. And I'm going to read this passage that will help give a better insight to that, what that means. I keep the waters pure. In Egyptian mythology, Nun or Nu is the deification of water and understood to be the representation of the primeval waters of chaos, which existed before giving birth to the land. From an elemental standpoint, water is represented as the realm of emotion, the subconscious, and intuition. Alchemically speaking, water is feeling, which finds relationship to earth and as sensation. And through a connection of these elements, a structured thought is born, a complex element and force of nature. Water is a malleable influence which can transmute and transform, purify, and cleanse, create and destroy, conceive and birth, in holding the intention of I keep the waters pure. We look beyond the element or deity to water as the metaphor whose lessons permeate substance and spirit, as water is a life force that is ever present, fluent in lunar language as it moves with the tides, and the symbolic representation of the subconscious mind. The path of self-inquiry and initiation into higher levels of thought and experience asks the candidate to make the unconscious conscious by exploring the abyss of the unconscious mind. Purification first comes through identification, and in diving deep into the waters of uncharted darkness, the process of transformation begins. You will free yourself when you learn to be neutral and follow the instructions of your heart without letting things perturb you. This is the way of Ma'at, Egyptian proverb. The depths of the subconscious may show us our demons, such as fear, hatred, anger, which in turn manifest in the material world through detrimental actions like tyranny, fanaticism, and ignorance. As we look into this reflecting pool of unresolved trauma, we must be reminded that all we will ever see looking back is our own reflection. For the reflection to transform, we must as well. For the reflection to transform, we must as well. It is through finding love for the unresolved trauma, giving light to darkness, and allowing the beating of our heart to transmute the images of the past that we can clearly visualize what is possible and move forward fluidly. Unlike Narcissus, who drowned in a shallow pool admiring his own beauty, this can only spring from a cleansed subconscious. Pure beauty hydrates the soul and reflects light in every wave. Our nightmares then become dreams. Fear becomes love. Hatred becomes acceptance. Anger becomes passion. Tyranny shifts to democracy. Fanaticism to philosophy, and ignorance to awareness. With a light heart and purified mind, even demons can transform into angels, and any prior perception of antithesis is now seen as what makes our life's thesis that much more profound. In making the unconscious conscious, each ripple of purity expands into the collective, allowing for a more fluid evolution to flow forward with a feather heart, connected to all but attached to no thing, no time, no space, no one. I was just thinking of a meditation. It's like being so in tune in one with the universe, but also with this conscious detachment to be I would like to say thank you to those that have come to this message. I pray this message has given you something of value to take and reflect on, and there's a gift coming in for you, which is incredible. If you're interested in a private reading, on my page, there is a link to a website that you can purchase a reasonable personal reading from me, where I will dive deep into who you are, and you can ask a personal question to assist you on your journey. Other than that, thank you, live in peace, and until next time.